So in this segment, we're going to be talking about that guy again, Andrew Cuomo. So this is a piece by David Sirota. This is great work from Sirota and the crew, and also from massive credit here to Ron T. Kim, who was a let's see what his specific role is. He's a New York lawmaker and chair of the Aging Committee, which he's been threatened by Andrew Cuomo as well. And screw you, Cuomo, absolute clown. So we're going to be talking about this. So, the title of the article: Cuomo gave immunity to nursing home executives after big donations. Now people are dying. So we'll get into the specifics of the article. As governor, Andrew Cuomo faced a spirited challenge in his bid to win New York's 2018 primary. I think that was against Cynthia Nixon. His political apparatus got a last-minute boost. A powerful healthcare industry group suddenly poured more than $1 million into a Democratic committee backing his campaign. So you can see here, was a healthcare industry group poured a lot of money into Cuomo's campaign. Less than 2 years later, after that flood of cash from the Greater New York Hospital Association, GNYHA, Cuomo signed legislation last month quietly shielding the hospital and nursing home executives from threat of lawsuits stemming from the coronavirus outbreak. Cuomo, a man who hid the numbers from New York legislators because he didn't get punished over it, it's just embarrassing. We've covered that previously. The provision inserted into an annual budget bill by Cuomo's aides created one of the nation's most explicit immunity protections for healthcare industry officials, according to legal experts. Critics say Cuomo removed a key deterrent against nursing homes and hospital corporations, cutting corners in a way that jeopardizes lives. As those critics now try to repeal the provision during the final week of Albany's legislative session, they assert that data proof such immunity is correlating to higher nursing home death rates during the pandemic, both in New York and in other states enacting similar immunity policies. So what can we gather from this is Cuomo's giving immunity to executives in charge of places like nursing homes and hospitals, by the looks of things, in order to protect them from any prosecutions. Why? Because these guys majorly messed up, and a lot of people are dead in nursing homes because of their actions and Cuomo's actions. New York has become one of the globe's major pandemic hotspots and the epicenter of the state's outbreak. Outbreak has been nursing homes where more than 5,000 New Yorkers have died, according to the Associated Press data. And we know that Cuomo was sending people that were positive with COVID back into care homes, and that's one of the reasons why they had such high deaths. A similar method was used in the UK. Those deaths have occurred as Cuomo's critics say he has taken a hands-off approach to regulating the healthcare industry, a guy who tried to make cuts to Medicare during the pandemic. That's how brazen this man is. The healthcare industry interests that helped bankroll his election campaign. In March, Cuomo's administration issued an order that allowed nursing homes to readmit sick patients without testing them for COVID. Amid allegations to undercount casualties, the governor also pushed back against pressure to have state regulators more stringently record and report death rates in nursing homes. So if someone was in a nursing home and they caught COVID and they died in a hospital, Cuomo tried to have that person as a person's death be recorded as a hospital death, not a nursing home death. And then came Cuomo's annual budget, which included a little noticed passage shielding corporate officials who run New York hospitals, including nursing homes and other healthcare facilities, from liability for COVID-related deaths. I wonder if that's because they gave them a fat donation. GNYHA, a lobbying group for hospital systems, including some that own nursing homes, said it drafted and aggressively advocated for the immunity provision. I wonder why. The new law declares that top officials at hospital and nursing home companies shall have immunity from liability, civil or criminal, for any harm or damages alleged to have been sustained as a result of an act or omission in the course of arranging for or providing healthcare services to address the COVID outbreak. And so what we can see from this is, that these, the GNYHA were the ones who pushed for this immunity provision. Prior to the budget language, Cuomo had already temporarily granted limited legal immunity to doctors and nurses serving on the medical front lines, but the carefully sculpted passage buried in the state's annual spending bill expanded that by offering extensive immunity to any healthcare facility administrator, executive supervisor, or board member or trustee, or any other person responsible for directing, supervising, or managing a healthcare facility and its personal or individual in a comparable role. So you can see mass protection here for multiple people who are not on the front lines dealing with COVID patients, but were dealing with admin and for making money off these nursing homes. New York is now one of just 2 states to shield those corporate officials from both civil lawsuits and forms of prosecution by the governor, according to analysis by, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Syracuse, I think, is that Syracuse University? Law professor Nina Cohn and the University of Houston Jessica L. Roberts. New York is an outlier and has the most explicit sweeping immunity language, Cohn said. Cuomo's administration said the new immunity provision, which is a narrow version of a broader proposal championed by Senate leader Mitch McConnell, is necessary. So you can see here that Cuomo kind of agreeing here with Moscow Mitch. The pandemic remains an unprecedented public health crisis, and we have realigned New York's healthcare system using every type of facility to prepare for the surge, recruiting more than 96,000 volunteers, 25,000 from out of state to help fight the virus, said Cuomo's advisor. And this is all spin from Cuomo, but the simple fact remains he tried to hide the data, and now he's also going on to protect some of the executives involved in making decisions. Why? Because they donated money to him. Simple as. Democratic Assemblyman Ron Kim, the hero of our story really, said the language of the immunity bill and entire proposal was drafted, submitted and negotiated into law by Governor Andrew Cuomo and his staff. He is leading 14 New York lawmakers in pushing legislation to repeal the language, and I don't know how successful Ron Kim will be in this. And some of them assert that the immunity provisions are linked to higher death rates in nursing homes. That's not a surprise. If you have immunity, you're going to do whatever the hell you want. It is now apparent that negligence by administration and executives of nursing homes has occurred at an extraordinary degree. Proponents of the legislation argued in a memo accompanying the bill the immunity law egregiously uses severe liability standards as a means to insulate healthcare facilities and specifically administrators and executives of such facilities from any civil or criminal liability for negligence. Repealing this article is a much needed step in holding healthcare administrators accountable and doing everything to stop more preventable deaths from happening. So what we can see here is, people are pushing for this part of the law to be replaced. I think it's become law, but the simple fact is I don't think that's going to happen because of the power Cuomo has. GNYHA, what an annoying acronym, has framed its push for liability protections as an effort to defend workers. In April 2nd memo to its members, the association wrote, "You and your heroic workers have enough to agonize over without having to worry about liability for decisions and actions that were made under extraordinary challenging circumstances." I mean, if you want to protect the doctors and nurses, then fair enough, but you don't protecting executives and admin officials. Sorry. That doesn't sit right with me. And the framing here they've used is abysmal. By contrast, opponents of the legislation contend that Cuomo's language immunising executives from civil and criminal litigation is designed to make it easier for nursing home corporations to profit off unsafe business practices, which again is 100% right. The reason why neglect happens in nursing homes is executives make business decisions that result in the frontline workers not having the tools in nursing homes, the manpower to deliver the services those workers are trained to deliver. And the simple fact is, we don't know if they had enough tests to test people coming back into care homes, if they were actually given the tools to test people, and Cuomo was like, nah, you don't need to do that. Or if a simple case that they didn't have the tests to do it. They weren't given the ability to test people before they were coming back into care homes, and thus putting more people's lives in danger. These executives choose how much staffing will be in a nursing home, and they know the more staffing they put in, the more safe the nursing home will be, but the less profits they'll make. It's pretty simple. Finkelstein said, when you remove their liability from that choice, the net effect will be less and less staffing and more neglect in nursing homes, because those decision makers will know that there is no legal consequence for the decisions they make. Absolutely 100% correct. Immunity following a $2.3 million in campaign cash. The immunity provision in Cuomo's campaign, 18 months after the GNYHA delivered $1.25 million to Cuomo-controlled New York State Democratic Committee that was supported the governor's re-election bid. The money went to the committee's so-called housekeeping account, the account which can accept unlimited amount of donations, which just... why does your country allow this sort of stuff to happen? It's meant to support general party activities, but has also been used to promote Cuomo and his agenda in television ads, including his 2018 re-election. American democracy is such a farce, honestly. I'm getting tired of saying this. The GNYHA donations, which were a huge increase from prior years, made the group one of New York Democratic Party's largest contributors during Cuomo's campaign. And boy, did they get their money's worth, because a pandemic hit and they were given massive amounts of immunity. So boy, did they get their money's worth from it. In all, during the governor's second term, Cuomo's campaign and his state party committee raked in more than $2.3 million from hospital and nursing home industry donors and their lobbying firms, according to data compiled by the National Institute of Money and Politics. So you can see here the different amounts. It dipped a bit in 2017, it's gone straight back up in 2018. So, big lobbying contracts. Those lobbyists, screw them, said 60 grand to the Miram Group in March and April, according to the firm's report. John Emmerich, a lobbyist at the firm, had previously served as the chief of staff for the controversial Independent Democratic Conference State Senate caucus. Like, these names, man, disclosed lobbying the Senate Majority Leader on state staffing. I mean, we don't need to read much more into this article. Well, this bit's important here. People are 7.5 times more likely to die from COVID-19 in the states with legal immunity, which doesn't give me a massive surprise, because these companies know they can get away with murder because they've donated to the right people. This is great writing from David Sirota. Massive credit to him, and Ron T. Kim. Massive credit to him as well, and also all the other New York lawmakers and anyone pushing back against what Cuomo has done here. A guy who had the goal to write a book about leadership and told people how to be a great leader shows himself to be a massive fraud. And Chris Cuomo, where you at, fam? You need to call your brother. You need to check on him, because he's not doing a good job. Because your brother's a failure. I don't know how to say it any nicer to you, but your brother's a big fraud, big fat phony. And Chris, if you don't call your brother out, you know what you are. You're also a big phony. You're a Fredo. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Massive credit to David Sirota again, John T. Kim, and anyone else who's fighting back against, Cuomo and the cronies. He's a blue magatard. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm on Discord. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.